There was some shock news over the weekend as Marco Silva lost his job at Watford. It was an earthquake throughout the world, in particular, Flav, I know you were in bits.
Yeah, I kind of picked up my phone and the alert went off and it went ding, and I looked at the screen and I was like, And then
carried on with the rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, I mean it's shocking in some fashion, but you know my world didn't crumble around my ears.
But this is a really odd sacking because this is a manager that I know you for a fact you loved him. Like 3 months ago, you loved him.
So I still think he's an absolute top drawer manager. I think though that his personality has come into question. His decision making has come into question. I think you can have all the tactics on the pitch, but if you behave like a penis behind it, then you know people are going to call you up on it, and you're going to lose your job, as we've seen. Just to underline it before we break down what's happened at Watford, he will be a manager of a top club.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I completely disagree. I completely disagree, Flav. I don't quite understand why he's got this aura of being a super manager. I think it's because Paul Merson didn't know who he was. Everybody backed him, but he took Hull down, and Watford have been on terrible form. I mean, they're like relegation form. So he's gone down last year with Hull, despite some decent results here and there, but ultimately they went down. He's been on like an abysmal run with Watford. It's not surprising, and I think there are times where people pull the trigger too quickly, but in the era that we're in, and nobody gets time anymore, it's not a way that it works. People aren't given lots of time. So in the current climate, it's a natural sacking.
Yeah, well, so the run of games is pretty awful. I'll go through the stats in a second, because I think this is the thing with this, and let us know in the comments. You can spin this two ways. You can say he's been hardly done by, or you can say no, it's not good enough. Watford came out and their statement regarding sacking him was quite unique, because they've pinpointed a specific moment in the approach from Everton when Ronald Koeman got sacked, and said that is the moment where it's all gone wrong. This was the part of the statement that they were talking about. The catalyst for this decision is that unwarranted approach, something which the board believes has seen a significant deterioration in both focus and results, to the point where the long-term future of Watford FC has been jeopardised. This is reflected in 1 defeat in 8 before this Everton approach, and 11 defeats in 16. We asked Mike Rookery to let us know his thoughts on it. He's got a Watford podcast, which we'll put a link in the description. Here are his thoughts on the sacking of Marco Silva.
I'm disappointed. Sad to see him go, because there's obviously some talent there. He obviously had the players playing for him. But ultimately, I think he made a very poor decision. He handled the approach from Everton very badly. I think he owed Watford more than that, than to have his head turned after 9 or 10 games. I think perhaps he was worried about whether the opportunity would come again. Well, for me, that shows that he's not really backing himself as a head coach. All he really had to do was deliver a half-decent season for Watford, and there was going to be an approach from a bigger club headed his way. So I think he's handled it badly. I think Watford deserve better from him. I think he'll learn from it, and he'll probably get a new job. But it's onwards and upwards for Watford, really. They had to make the decision. We were sleepwalking into a relegation battle. Yes, we're 10th in the division, but only 5 points clear of relegation. And the performances over the last 11, 12 games really have been very poor. There's been no sign of the form being turned around. So I think that change absolutely had to be made. So, like I say, another new head coach for Watford. The right decision. Let's wait and see.
So Mike's suggesting, I think when we look at these things, we can look at it from the sort of top line, but the gossiping that goes on in a dressing room is inevitable. And what it seems like he's suggesting is that Marco Silva, wanted to go, which I think most people can understand as well. He's obviously an ambitious manager. You know having that?
No, I can't understand it. He's put 10 games into a new contract for a Premier League football club. You know, Everton at the time, Watford were above Everton. I get the resources at Everton outweigh those at Watford, but you don't know manager. It doesn't matter if Real Madrid comes in. If you signed a contract and you're 10 games in, you don't then go, well, I want to leave after 10 games. I've never heard of anything like that.
But 16 games later, he's gone. So should he be? Surely you can understand the idea of him wanting to go. I think it's more unique for a manager, because the problem he's got is the way football management is now. You've got to have everyone behind you, and by flirting with them a little bit, he's then got the squad. He's lost a few members of the squad, and that's led to the sort of the poor results that they've had. I think they've conceded more goals than anyone in the last 15 minutes of games since that period of time as well. But I mean, it's okay for him to be ambitious, but he now looks like a manager who can't settle and keep players on side, because I think the jobs he's had since leaving Estoril in 2014, I don't think he's been anywhere longer than a year. And that's the problem. He's got as good a coach as everyone seems to say that he is, and the work that he does.
Why do people say that? Genuinely, why do people say that?
A lot of players have come out and said that as well.
Well, he also had 3 years without a home defeat for the Vestra, as you say.
Estoril,
right. So I remember him coming
good
in.
knowledge.
Well, I forgot the team, but
good knowledge about the free.
Well, I remember it because
they won 17 games on the trot with Olympiacos as well.
Yeah, when he went into Hull, I was like, who is this guy? So I reading about it, and he's gone 3 years without a home defeat, and I was saying that's going to be tough for Hull.
That's impressive.
Hull went about 8 or 9 games without losing at home, and he turned a very broken Hull team into something that played a semblance of top level football. They went down, but they're always going to. It's an impossible job there.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? This whole thing, and the way that Watford, the way the board deals with managers, it's about perception and how you want to spin it. Because, as I said, so here are some of the stats. Again, you can look at both ways. So they're 10th in the league, but they're 4 points off the relegation zone.
But also, they're 10th in the league because of their excellent form earlier in the season.
Yeah,
if the season were to continue and they were to continue on the trajectory that they're on, they're down.
Yeah, I get that. But so this was. Well, let me read out these stats, and then I'll see which one you think are the most important stats in regard to this situation. So 10th in the league. So if they maintain that would represent the club's best league finish in over 30 years. They're third best in their entire history. The other side of it, 1 win in 11 games, second worst defence in the league as well. Only a 4-point gap between them and the relegation zone. And another point that Mike would have made was the lengthy injury list. They've got 10 first-team players out as well. So what this leads to for me is that if you're in the Watford board, do you keep? Well, they do keep doing it. They have 2 managers every year, it seems like. But is there no time for giving someone the benefit of the doubt anymore?
No.
Because the 8 games he did well. He could have, from now on, the next few games for them, Southampton in the Cup, then Stoke City, Chelsea, West Ham, Everton, West Brom. Chelsea's a tough one. The rest of them are all winnable games. He could have gone on
not on the trajectory they're on, though. The current form, the board would be looking at those fixtures, which, if you take the Chelsea one away, the rest of them, in their situation, the current predicament, they must win games. And their board, who are terrified of going down, will be looking at those fixtures, must-win games, thinking we're going to get nothing here. Nothing from 5 must-win games.
The form was horrendous, but it was a product of what's going on behind the scenes, obviously. So Everton,
plus the injuries as well.
Yeah, yes, but even still, they were losing badly, and the way they were playing, it was like a different football club since that day where it seemed like Everton had turned his head. So if you're a player playing in the Premier League for a Premier League football club, you need to be able to. You need to be playing 100%, or even beyond what you're normally capable of, because somehow this manager's got you playing in a way that you thought you wouldn't be able to. Pochettino's done it, Klopp's done it. Some managers get the best out of their footballers, and then suddenly the manager's like, well, yeah, I want to go. And as the guy Rookery said, some of the players. Apparently, the conversations were that he was going to take some of the players with him to Everton. So then. Everything he's built, everything he's sold these players is a myth. And now they're going on and going, well, he don't even want to be here. Some of the players have already got an eye out of the door going to a bigger club in Everton. So with the same ethos and the collectiveness and pulling in one direction is just smashed to smithereens. And now you've just got this weird sort of football club where no one really wants to be there and no one's playing.
But don't you think that's hypersensitive, considering that entire squad must be so used to managers changing all the time? The bottom line is they need to stay in the Premier League. So regardless of who the manager is, they should be working hard. And time and again we've read how players really enjoy the work that he puts in and the way that he treats them.
But what I would say, and my point is that human beings need to be sold and believe in a cause, and believe in some sort of goal at the end of the season. If that's just is all bollocks, and apparently it's clear that it's all it's just just bollocks. Like Silva's vision was bollocks. He didn't want to be there. Apparently, you would assume. So you've got these players playing in the team, and they've all got to get behind one ideology or one goal. It doesn't matter if you've got individually brilliant players. It doesn't matter if collectively they're a good bunch. If they don't believe in what they've been sold just previously, then it all falls apart. They're great players, but they're human beings as well.
Yeah, I get all of that, and it has worked for Watford. Like Watford fans will go, look, these managers keep coming through the door and leaving, and they stay a Premier League club, which is all they can really ask for at this moment in time as they continue to establish themselves. But sooner or later, that's just not going to work, because players they become desensitised to a new manager, because they know after a few games that, oh right, he's going to be out the door as well. So they need to be performing almost not for the manager. I know that can get you that extra 10% in terms of caring or whatever.
Yeah. But
you've got Javi Gracia coming in. He's supposed to be sort of quite an effective manager. It's not going to be as attacking. He only conceded 35 goals in 2014-15 with Malaga, had a couple of good seasons with them. And he's seen as a decent manager. But if he goes 4 games without a win, then it's only going to happen again, and the players are going to switch off even quicker. But so sooner or later, this is going to... Do you think the grass will be greener with this manager? Do you think you'll get that bounce with him?
But Silva wasn't sacked.
Why bother?
Silva wasn't sacked because of the board in this instance. They made the decision, but this is his issue. He created this situation. That form at the start of the season was what he is capable of doing and what he has done previously. Now he's in a situation where they had to get rid of him because his head had been turned, clearly. In this instance, I'm not saying they're not gung-ho, they are, they're trigger happy. But whatever it is, they've got it right every single appointment.
Also, I think it goes, like, a wider point here is, it's probably not worth keeping people at your club who don't want to be there.
No, absolutely.
Like, he demonstrated that he didn't want to be there. Yeah. Watford held true to their principles, and more fire to them for doing that. But what have they gained? There's no point in keeping somebody who has flirted with another club. If he's fluttering his eyelashes at Merseyside, they would have been better off cashing in their chips there and rebuilding again, because I think they've got an uphill task now. I think it's going to be tough. I think they'll be okay, actually.
Yeah, they'll be
but it's not easy. And what this means for Silva, I don't really know. I don't quite know what will happen, because I think a lot of people rate him, Flav rates him, but from what I've seen, I'm not a connoisseur of European football. I can't talk about what he was up to over in Greece or whatever, but from my experience of Silva, it's a lot of bluster and smoke and mirrors, but I haven't seen anything to really convince me that he's the man that a lot of people say he is.
Where the Watford board are bad at giving managers time, they're bad at that, not very good at that. Yeah. They don't have much patience. What they are incredibly good at is seeing potential in managers that other people aren't, and they're brave enough to give these managers a chance. So they're not...
What, for 10 games?
No, but
it's not a real chance, is it?
The Silva, it isn't. He made his own bed. That's not he. The blame is not at their door. They've done the right thing, in my opinion. But there are other managers that I thought should have been given more time at Watford, but didn't. This, he's been given an 18-month contract. Was it Gracia?
Gracia.
Yeah, and that isn't a long contract, but probably about right for Watford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, less compensation.
If he does well and keeps them up, I'm sure they'll probably relook at that in the summer. But whatever it is, they have to make decisions in order to ensure that Watford stay in the Premier League, and they've never really been in danger since coming up of going down. So it feels like it could explode at any minute.
Yeah.
But so far, the last 4 or 5 years, it hasn't.
Okay, let us know your thoughts on this. Was this a sacking that was fair? Is there method in this madness from Watford in terms of the trigger-happy nature of sacking managers and appointing new ones? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out all the videos this week on Ball Street on Social Club. Click like, hit subscribe. We'll see you soon.